Tonight, Donald Sterling did an interview on Anderson Cooper addressing some of the allegations that was put upon him and addressing how he felt about his comments and the treatment that was given to him after everyone got a hold of his comments that he made about black players in the NBA, and especially that were a part of his team, the Los Angeles Clippers. And before I get into my video, I want to say that Donald Sterling's apology is bullshit. I didn't believe him. I thought it was a crock of shit. And is it me, or does Donald Sterling look like the WB frog? I just wanted to throw that out there, because when I see him sitting up there, it's like his neck is connected to his chest. He's got that big swelled up, overweight ass head he has, and it just he just reminds me of the WB frog. I almost expect him to pull out a hat and a cane and start dancing for me, but that's something else. But he went on and on about talking about how he was apologetic for it, and he was sorry, and how could his girlfriend do that to him, and blah blah blah. And then he went on and said that he doesn't think that the NBA will make him resign from owning his team, which we all know. Anybody with common sense know there are legal procedures that are going to take place if they do decide to kind of push him from not being the owner of the LA Clippers. But I got a whole bunch of different messages from this interview. First of all, it's plain and simple that this guy has an issue with so-called minorities. And I say so-called because a lot of times people like to address blacks and Hispanics as the minorities when really we're the dominant, but that's a whole nother video. But he has an issue with so-called minorities and our lifestyle and his mindset of how he views us. And I agree with everybody else when people said that he has a plantation mindset. His whole thing was, he mentioned, player salary in this interview. He said some players make over $100 million, some 50. But his whole mindset was that because he has bought an NBA team and he employs these players, somehow he owns them. I give them cars and I give them food, and they get this type of amount of money a year. And you can tell by his mindset and the things that come out of his mouth that he has a certain type of mindset when it comes to black guys that are on his team and just black people in general. He feels like blacks are a second-class citizen. He feels like he's above people that are so-called minorities. And there was a couple of things that he was going to come out and say, and he called himself like, oh, let me not say that because it'll probably go on my head about that. Or, they'll say, oh, well, look, he's being racist again. But, I know how to read in between the lines. He tried to watch his words. He was very careful what he addressed, like a lot of things he didn't want to talk about. He talked about pretty much everything that Anderson Cooper was asking him, but there were some things that he didn't really want to get into, and he caught himself a couple of times. I don't know if anybody else picked that up, but this guy is full of shit. I don't believe anything he says. I don't accept his apology. I can't speak for anybody else out there, but I don't accept his apology, and I know that it's probably a lot of black folks out there that agree with me. And on to some other comments he said. He made some very derogatory comments towards Magic Johnson. He's saying, how could anybody look at him as a role model? This is a guy who, he said, he has AIDS. He has AIDS. He kept saying that, and he said he went around and slept with women all across the country and contracted AIDS, and he hasn't really done anything for black people. And he went on and on about that. And what he tried to do, he tried to do a sneak diss. He on one hand he said, I respect him for what he does and blah blah blah, but then on the other hand he was like sneak diss and throwing jabs at him. We all know where that comes from. The fact that
Magic Johnson came out and said how he felt after the tape was released of Donald Sterling's comment. So we all know where that was coming from. But you know, Magic Johnson, a lot of things that I think Donald Sterling is not really educated on what Magic Johnson has really done. And, you know, I don't agree with everything that Magic Johnson does. You know, do I think he could be doing more? Yeah, but I don't forget. I'm not one of those people that, you know, when people are not doing something for me at the moment, I forget everything that they've done previously. And, you know, I can remember, you know, coming out to L.A. and everything and living in L.A. when I was a child. I remember Magic Johnson creating certain businesses and jobs within the community. For you guys that are from LA, you know, we all remember when he had the Magic Johnson Theater over there on Crenshaw was employing a lot of black folks there. You know, I mean, you went in there, it was Black Central, you know, but you had a sense of pride when you went in there because it was black owned and you saw people who looked like you. It was people that were being employed. Like I said in my previous video, he had the Fridays. He had, I believe he owned, I might not be 100% on this, but I believe he owned some partnership within the Fat Burger. And he had Starbucks. And these were all businesses that he was putting within the black community that were employing black people. So I'm not going to sit back and say Magic Johnson hasn't tried to do something for our people, because he has. You know, he started certain organizations for blacks. I know he has the AIDS Foundation going on. So, you know, Magic Johnson has really, not just for the everyday black person here in the country, but for athletes too. Like, hey, you know, when you get this money, this is how you flip your money. This is how you invest in things. This is how you know, when you open a business, put it in the community that, you know, you come from. Generate revenue within that community. Create jobs. And that's something that I always talk about in my videos about, you know, us coming together and creating our own jobs. I think a lot of times we're always looking for the powers that be to employ us, when really, you know, we collectively come together and put our money together and start using our minds. Those who are very intelligent, have common sense, have business savvy like myself, come out here and really start doing things within the community. We can change a lot of this. You would be surprised about the progress we would have in our community if we start just coming together, controlling our dollar, and investing within our own community. Within 5 years, you will see a big difference. But, you know, like I said, I don't forget what Magic Johnson has done. You know, I think that he should get back to that. I know a lot of those businesses didn't really work out the way he wanted to, and then when the economy crashed, he had a lot of issues too. But I think not just him, but other black figures that are within sports, these lawyers and doctors out here, anybody, you know, come back to your community, invest. And that's what my video, not to get too far off target, but that's what my video about Dr. Dre was about. Okay, you know, you were the first so-called billionaire of hip-hop. Take some of that money, invest back into your community, employ some of these people. You know, it's easy for people to talk about the gangs and the drugs and everything, but you're not living in these people's predicament. You're not living their lives day in and day out. So it's easy to point the finger when you have no relevance to their situation. But, you know, all in all, I don't accept Donald Sterling's apology. I think it was complete bullshit. I think the NBA needs to get this guy out of there. I think anybody with common sense that owns an NBA team needs to get this guy out of there and needs to vote him out. Because if the shoe was on the other foot and there was a black man that did something, you know, it would be a total different story. But, you know, that's basically all I got to say about it. You know, I thought the interview was a complete joke. You know, I don't let his wife off the hook completely because, like I said before, you're not going to be married to somebody that long and don't have some of the same mindsets, or don't know what this man's mindset is and the type of things that he distributes out to a certain group of people. Okay, I don't let his little bullshit girlfriend off the hook because I think she was an opportunist. But I'm going to sit back, I'm going to watch how all this plays out. But I just want to do a video on this. If you guys checked out the interview on Anderson Cooper with Donald Sterling, give me your opinion on it. What did you feel about it? Did you accept his apology? Did you not accept it? What do you think is going to be the outcome of this whole situation? But, you know, on behalf of the black people all across the world, those who agree with me, you know, and have my mindset on this, those who play professional sports, those who are on the Los Angeles Clippers, on behalf of all of us, I want to tell Donald Sterling, fuck you. And that's from the bottom of my heart. I'm out. Peace.